Hello and welcome. So today I have for you luxury Middle Eastern fragrances. I haven't done one of these videos in quite a while, so I figured it was time to visit that side of the house because we continuously talk about affordable Middle Eastern fragrances and I haven't done one of these videos in maybe like 6 months. So today I have for you 6 fragrances and only one of them is kind of new to my collection. The others I've had for quite a while and I absolutely love. A couple of them were also sent to me, so when I get to that fragrance, I will let you know that it was received in PR. But of course, you know, I am going to give you my honest opinion. But this is not a video where we're questioning any of, the fragrances or evaluating them because I've already had the opportunity to use these fragrances. And I'm here today to let you know that these are 6 luxury Middle Eastern fragrances that you should really at least try. So let's go ahead and get started. But before we do so, if this is your first time here, I'm Arahi and I'm your fragrance concierge because I'm totally committed to creating the best fragrance experience for you. I upload videos multiple times a week, and on this channel, we love to talk about all types of fragrances. So if that sounds like the type of content that you're interested in and like a good plan, then please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget, leave a comment. Let's go. So the first fragrance that I'm going to share with you today is from a brand that many of you are familiar with because we continuously hear about their masterpieces, because I believe that this is one of those fragrance houses that has so many incredible fragrances, and I consider so many of them a true masterpiece. And the collection that I have is like behind me, and we are talking about Amouage. And today I just want to talk to you about Ashore. Now, before I start with the fragrance, just in case you're new to luxury Middle Eastern fragrances, let me tell you that Amouage is based out of Oman, and it has been in place since, I believe, 1983. There are many fragrances that I could mention from Amouage that are absolutely exquisite. This fragrance house, though, has a DNA that is quite complex. I don't think that this is a fragrance house where a beginner in fragrances or someone beginning their fragrance collection should start. I will tell you that. Most of their fragrances, in my opinion, are not safe blind buys. But once you develop a love for Amouage, you will be hooked forever. And there are just so many masterpieces. Of course, I'm sure you've heard about Guidance and Guidance 46. And there are so many others that are not as hyped and popular that I could mention today, but I'm sure that you can see behind me my good Amouage collection. So today I want to talk to you about a fragrance that I don't hear people talk about a lot and I just don't understand. And this is Ashore. Ashore to me has the feel of like yacht lifestyle, like luxury, opulent lifestyle, but it's like a yacht lifestyle. That's the feel that I get with it. Not that you're just like on vacation or holiday in a yacht. No, it's like you consistently go on a yacht for some sort of touring or some sort of just spending the day in your yacht or, in one that you have chartered. But that is the feel of this fragrance. At that, it's not one that's just limited to like the summer season. It is truly for me like an all year round fragrance because it is quite balanced. But let's talk more about the olfactory journey, the notes and the accords of Ashore. Now, Ashore is primarily a white florals. This fragrance is so good, guys. So Ashore is a fragrance that is primarily based on the white florals. At that, it is warm, spicy, and it has a backdrop of woodiness that is continuously present. Because if not, I would be afraid that this would be more of like a floral, fruity la kind of fragrance. And no, it is not. It is a fragrance that speaks to confidence and, self-assuredness. So this is a fragrance with quite a bit of character. At that, and according to the DNA of I would say just about every Amouage fragrance that I've ever tried, this fragrance is a powerhouse. This will not only deliver incredible performance, giving you a full day wear, but it also has a very strong projection during past the 2-hour mark, and it has a moderate sillage with a sillage that will linger about 3 feet behind you. The other thing that makes this fragrance a little bit interesting, and of course I'm not surprised coming from Amouage, is that it is a tad animalic. Now, some of you, I'm sure, as soon as you hear animalic, you're like, okay, Arahi, no, this is where I click out. No, believe me, just get your nose on this fragrance, try it. And the good news is that, Ashore has not been a fragrance that was just launched like a year or two ago. So at this point, I can find it at a very good price point for you. So of course, I will be leaving a link and a discount code to where you can pick up this beauty or maybe even try it if you are interested. But I tell you, this is one that you really want to try. This is an exceptional, exceptional creation from the house of Amouage. Now, this next fragrance was sent to me, but I've had it for a bit. And I have to tell you, I am so very impressed and in love with this fragrance. But this one is not for the faint of heart. This is for true lovers of Middle Eastern fragrances DNA. Those that speak to spices, to boldness, to oud, to, musk, a presence in general of all of the notes and accords. So these are true powerhouse fragrances that make quite a statement. And I am speaking about Oman Luxury, and this one is Flowerlush. This fragrance is absolutely incredible. This has got to be one of the most bold and statement-making fragrances in my entire collection. This is no joke. This is one that you just want to spray on your pulse points and call it a day, because this is truly a powerhouse. This is a fragrance that is very woody. It has a good bit of florals in it, but it also has a citrusy quality to it that makes it very wearable all year round. It does have oud, and the oud is to the tune of like a level 4 out of 5, with 1 being the least and 5 being the most. This is like a level 4, which is a lot to be said. But the beauty is that this oud is a smooth oud. It's not a barnyard oud. It's a sophisticated and elegant kind of oud. If you are familiar with oud fragrances, you will find that this is one of those ouds that's very smooth. You are going to pick it up. It's not smooth to the point that it's faint or that you're not going to get it. No, I want to make sure that you understand. This is a fragrance where the oud is unapologetic and present, but done exquisitely. In addition to that, this fragrance is also musk based. And I would say that the musk here is to the tune of like a 3 out of 5. But the musk is not animalic in any kind of way, and it plays very well with the oud, with the other notes and accords that you find in the fragrance. This is a fragrance that truly, the vibe that I get with it is when I want to scream, I've arrived, that is the fragrance that you want to pull. This is not the fragrance to wear on those days where you just want to go below radar, or you're feeling kind of like, conservative and just being very demure about everything. Oh no, this is bold, in your face and unapologetic while smelling absolutely fabulous. This fragrance also does have patchouli, but the patchouli here is not playing like a very relevant role to my nose nor on my skin, but the patchouli is definitely present, always present. I would say that you're going to get the patchouli like midway through the olfactory journey, and then of course at dry down and throughout the wear. The patchouli plays very well with the oud, and for those of you who are not very familiar with patchouli, you may confuse it for the oud here, but no, it's the oud. This is also a fragrance that at the dry down is quite powdery, not excessively or obnoxiously powdery or, stifling powdery. No, this fragrance is powdery at the dry down, but at the same time, that powderiness has a level of airiness, again, coming from those citrusy notes that I mentioned before. This fragrance is an absolute glorious scent, but this is not for everybody. And I also don't think that this is a safe blind buy unless you are one of those fam members that has quite a bit of experience using, Middle Eastern fragrances that have a very present oud note and all of the accords that come out of it. To me, this is an extremely addictive fragrance. It is truly unisex, but I would say it could even lean a tad to the feminine side. No, but truly, I think this is really a unisex fragrance. I can definitely see a gentleman wearing this, and I can even see a gentleman making this their signature scent. One of the ladies, it really depends on what you're into, but I think that this is a fragrance that for those who fall in love with it, it will be so addictive that you may be tempted to make it your signature scent. The next fragrance that I want to share with you is coming out of a fragrance house that has got to be one of my top favorite luxury Middle Eastern fragrance houses. If you've been with me for a while, you know that my favorite luxury Middle Eastern fragrance house is Al Jazeera. But following Al Jazeera, I have to tell you that Widian is absolutely my favorite. And from Widian today, I want to talk to you about Hili. Now, Widian is not a luxury Middle Eastern fragrances house that I have never talked about here on the channel. I've talked about their fragrances quite a bit. You guys know that my favorite is really Baniyas, but today I want to talk to you about Hili because Hili is exceptional and it does deserve some love. And Hili is one of those fragrances that's an all-year staple. And it is a fragrance that I think is a very good introduction to the Middle Eastern DNA of fragrances. But specifically to Widian, let me tell you that they are based out of the United Arab Emirates since 2014. This is a fragrance house that truly is known for its elegance and distinctive sophistication. I can't explain it any other way. I have multiple of their fragrances from their different collections. They have a gold collection, a velvet collection, which I think this is part of the velvet collection. They have gold, velvet, and the black collection. Each collection tends to reflect specific notes and accords. Like I believe it's the black collection that is the most intense and has quite a bit of oud in their fragrances. Hili is a fragrance that is absolutely beautiful. And again, this is a great introduction, not just to this fragrance house, but in my opinion, to the DNA of luxury or Middle Eastern fragrances in general. Hili is primarily a white florals fragrance that is combined not just with the white florals, but it also has some yellow florals. Add all that, the white and yellow florals balance very, very nicely on a background of some woody notes. That is the opening of the fragrance throughout the olfactory journey, at dry down, and throughout the wear of the fragrance. Primarily, that's what you're going to pick up. The blend here, as in all of the Widian fragrances that I've ever tried, is so perfectly done that it will be very hard for you to pick up specifically on a specific note. So within the white florals, there's not one that sticks out the most to me, nor within the yellow florals. On the contrary, what I pick up is an exquisite blend and mix of a bouquet of yellow and white florals. It's almost like if you went to your florist or somewhere that, where they sell flowers and you picked up a bouquet of white florals and then a bouquet of yellow florals and put them together. That is the scent that you are going to get, exquisitely done on a backdrop again of some woody notes that give this fragrance quite a bit of character and oomph. This is not your regular floral woody fragrance whatsoever, because there are other notes and accords that actually play a significant role in your experience overall with this fragrance. You are going to get some coconut, you are going to get some spicy notes, making the fragrance warm spicy at times, not consistently, but at times it does become warm spicy. But you are going to get that coconut, and you are going to get a tad of tobacco. But the tobacco is not the star here. It doesn't play center stage in any part of the olfactory journey to my nose or on my skin. But the tobacco leaf note is definitely present. But all in all, what you are going to get is an exquisite blend, again, of those white and yellow florals on a backdrop of woody notes. To me, this is a fragrance that leans heavy to the feminine side. Can I see a gentleman pulling this one off? Yes, I can, especially if you are a gent and you decide to layer it with a more masculine leaning fragrance. Or you could actually wear it on your own. Remember what I always say, wear what you want, when you want, and how you want. And Hili is no exception. This is just an exquisitely done fragrance that is pretty much for all. This is also a fragrance that I think is suitable for all ages, for any season of the year. It has no oud, no musk, so you can take it to the office or wear it for occasions where you want to wear a fragrance that is non-offensive. Hili is just absolute perfection. I know that some of you do own Hili. This is not my first time talking about this fragrance, so please let us know if you've experienced the magic of not just Hili, but Widian in general, and let us know which one is your favorite. Now, this next fragrance is coming from a brand that, if you are part of or have been a part of our fragrance community here on YouTube or on Instagram, this brand will not come as a surprise to you because they have several fragrances that are quite popular. But overall, I have to tell you that the DNA of this fragrance house can really fluctuate. It really depends on what line or what fragrances you decide to try. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a fragrance that I've rarely heard anybody talk about, but that I really need to bring to your attention. And this one is from Kajal, and this is Kajal IV. Wow, this is a showstopper. This is a fragrance that I would describe as dark, sexy, and sultry. And this is a fragrance that is perfect for all seasons of the year. Yes, I said all seasons, even though I just described it as dark, sexy, and sultry. This is a fragrance that, although, and I will talk to you more in detail about the notes and the accords in a minute, but although this is a no joke, no nonsense, truly unisex powerhouse fragrance, this is one that you can definitely wear during the summer. Let me tell you about the feel of this fragrance specific to the summer season, because if you wear it during cool weather or cooler weather, you'll automatically get the feel and you'll know what to wear or what to do with it. But when it comes to the summer season, let me tell you about this fragrance. So this is the type of fragrance that you want to wear on those summer evenings and late night occasions where you're wearing like a white backless, completely backless dress with like no more than 3-inch heels, like sandals, open toe sandals that are like 3-inch heels, and you are barely wearing any makeup because you've just spent the entire day at the beach and you have this sun goddess kind of look and glow going on. This is the fragrance that will complement that entire vibe and look. This is absolute perfection for that type of occasion. Do I see you wearing this fragrance during a hot summer day, during the day? No. To me, this is a fragrance, even in other seasons, that is best suited for like late afternoon into the evening and of course into late night, because this fragrance is all about that sexy, sultry vibe. At that, I forgot to mention that you're barely wearing any makeup, but you are wearing like a lip gloss or lipstick that just like accentuates or emphasizes your goddess glow of the day. This fragrance is one that you do not want to wear around anybody that you're not really interested in, because this is a very seductive feel kind of fragrance. This will pull. This is what we call a magnet fragrance. Whether it's for a gent, whether it's for a lady, this is truly a magnet fragrance. Now let's talk a little bit about the accords of the fragrance. Kajal IV is a fragrance that does have the note of leather. And in the opening, the fragrance opens sweet, very aromatic, and with a touch of that leather. Now, this is not the type of fragrance that, you know, I tell you, oh, it has leather and you're barely going to pick up on it, or it's very smooth. No. There is nothing demure about this fragrance. Is it screechy or obnoxious? Oh, no. Within its own right, it is a very, again, sultry kind of fragrance, but at that, it does like make use to the max of all of the notes and accords that you can find in it. And the leather is no exception. Is this a fragrance for the true leather lover? Maybe, but I really think that what this is a fragrance that you really need to get your nose on and then decide how you specifically feel about it and what is the use that you would put to it. Because while I'm describing it as sultry and sexy, some of you may think that this is your perfect signature scent. You just never know. And it also depends on how it pulls on your skin. In addition to that leather, as I said before, the fragrance is very aromatic. It is sweet, but it's not very, very sweet. This is not even what I would call sweet. It's just, a little bit sweet. There is a good bit of woodiness here because this is a fragrance with quite a bit of depth, character, and personality. It has a ton of oomph. There's also vanilla here, and the vanilla is definitely present. It's not dominant in any way. This is not a vanilla-centric fragrance at all. This is not a centric anything. I can't even tell you what note or what accord is the star of this fragrance because, again, the blend is incredible. I know that many of you know Kajal, for like fragrances like Icon and Lamar and other fragrances like that. This is a complete departure from that DNA. I will warn you right now. Those fragrances, while being fruity, much sweeter than this one, also do not give me that sexy, sultry, dark vibe that this one gives me. This is a totally different ball game. This is for someone who's looking for something with a lot more character and depth and definitely statement making. This next fragrance comes from a fragrance house that I just recently introduced here on the channel, and it's the House of Dastan. And although they are based out of the US, I wanted to share one of their fragrances with you because they do have Persian heritage. And even the bottle, all of their bottles are based on like Persian architecture, like palaces. And I just think that they have that DNA and it is unmistakable. Their fragrances are statement making, and to me, they are quite different. They have set themselves apart from all the other DNAs that you could find out there. And they are definitely a luxury Middle Eastern fragrances brand, in my opinion. And from the House of Dastan today, I want to talk to you about You. Now, You is not just you. It's like you. It's like you with a question mark. I have discussed this fragrance here on the channel multiple times already because from the first moment I sniffed it and then when I tried it, it automatically became my favorite from this house. And I own at this point all of the fragrances that they have. Now, You is a fragrance that is truly a floral, fruity gourmand. And at that, it is one that, while smelling completely yummy and letting you know that there are gourmand touches here and that it is truly a gourmandish fragrance, it is not going to make you smell like food. This is a fragrance that to me is unisex, and I think that it leans a tad to the feminine side, but I can definitely see a gentleman wearing this fragrance without any problems. There's also musk in this fragrance, and the musk to me goes from like a level 2 to a level 3. I have to be honest, there are days where I wear this fragrance where I feel that the musk is like a level 2, and there are days where my nose picks it up more and it's like to the tune of a level 3. But the thing is that the musk is not animalic in any kind of way. Now, You is a fragrance that opens up very, very woody and very fruity. And at the dry down, it is powdery. Not a little bit powdery, not excessively powdery, but it is powdery. At that, it has a citrusy quality to it. And it also has, like, in addition to that citrusy quality, which gives it a certain degree of airiness, you're also going to find that the fragrance can be quite aromatic. I find that that aromatic accord or quality of the fragrance happens like from midway in the olfactory journey to the dry down. But then at the dry down, I'm not picking up the fragrance as aromatic necessarily. No, what I get there is a very like floral, fruity, gourmand kind of fragrance on a very strong backdrop of some woody notes. But all in all, this, which is a creation from Richard Urban, is a fragrance that I absolutely recommend that you at least get your nose on because this is truly exceptional. The next and last fragrance that I have for you today is wow, that is the only way that I can describe this fragrance. This is a very new fragrance house in my collection. This fragrance was sent to me, and I have had at this point the opportunity to try several of their fragrances. And I tell you, I'm going to be on a roll picking up these fragrances because I am absolutely loving the DNA of this fragrance house and their approach and mastery in putting these fragrances together. I mean, they are just absolutely incredible. But this one that I'm going to share with you, oh no, this is one you definitely need to try one way or the other. So let me start by saying that we're talking about Ojar. Now, Ojar comes from the word Ojari, and Ojari is widely known as the highest quality frankincense. So you will find that there is like they tend to weave the frankincense in most of their fragrances, or at least the ones, I shouldn't say most, at least the ones that I've tried to date. There's always like, sometimes it's very present and sometimes it's just like faint in the background, but I always kind of pick it up. I may be totally wrong, but that is what I am getting with multiple of their fragrances. And in Solar Flair, well, you're not going to get, that's not the star of this fragrance at all. The frankincense is not the star, because we're going to talk about the star in a minute. I do kind of pick up in the backdrop like hints of it here and there. Now, let's talk about this fragrance. So if you've been with me for a while, you know that I always tell you that there are several notes that are very, very hard to get right. And one of those notes that I've discussed with you time and time again, regardless of if we're talking about a designer fragrance or a Western niche fragrance or an affordable Middle Eastern fragrance, is the note of honey. This fragrance set itself apart because this is a honey-centric fragrance where the honey is so realistic, it just blew my mind away. At first sniff, I had to like do a double take, and immediately once I sniffed it on paper, and when I picked up on that realistic honey, I thought, this is probably just on paper. On my skin, it's probably not going to do this. So I sprayed myself immediately, and I have to tell you, I am so impressed because I have finally found the one fragrance that really gets that honey note down in such a realistic way. At all this is a fragrance that has quite a bit of white florals. Is there one floral that sticks out to me the most? No. What I will tell you is that I pick up clearly on a bouquet of white florals, and I won't even endeavor to tell you which are the white florals that I'm picking up because they're so exquisitely blended. What I can tell you is that the overall effect that I get with this fragrance on skin, on paper, and otherwise is that of like honeyed florals. It's almost like if you took a bouquet of florals, of white florals at that, and you dabbed it with like the most organic and precious honey ever. That is what you're going to get at the dry down and throughout the entire wear of the fragrance. At that, of course, the fragrance is sweet, and the musk, I would say, is like a level 3 to 4, not quite 4, but not quite 3, because the musk is definitely very present and it is a tad animalic, but it's not animalic in a bad way. It's in the best way possible and designed, in my opinion, to supplement or complement that very, very dominant and present realistic honey note. Now, while this is an all year round fragrance, you must be asking yourself, okay, Arahi, you're talking about the fragrance is sweet. It has a very realistic honey note. Okay, so does that mean that this fragrance would be a bit too much for the summer season? Oh no, for some reason, I think that this fragrance goes perfectly with the summer season. It is perfect for any season of the year, but during the summer, here's what happens. That honey truly is very realistic. The fragrance is definitely sweet. To some, it may be very sweet, but never sickly sweet, because there's two things also going on here. Number one, there is a citrusy quality to the fragrance that gives it a degree of airiness. In addition to that, at the dry down, the fragrance does become powdery. Not a little bit, not too much, but it is a powdery dry down. But that powderiness has a freshness to it that I can't even explain, and also works very, very well with that dominant honey note, which is not going anywhere. It will be with you from first sniff throughout the olfactory journey, at the dry down, and throughout the entire wear of the fragrance. Needless to say, to me, this is an absolute masterpiece. This is a fragrance that is quite unisex. If I had to pick a lean, I would say that just because of the sweetness, maybe a tad to the feminine side, but to me, this is a fragrance that everybody and anybody can wear, any age, any season, any occasion. It's really up to you as to how your skin picks up on the very dominant honey note and how it comes across to your nose. Is this a safe blind buy? I would say absolutely not. This is a fragrance that I think that you should try first before you pick it up, unless you are a true honey fragrances lover, because if you are, this is a must. All right, guys, so we've reached the end of today's video, and I hope that this was enjoyable for you. I just wanted to come and share with you these 6 luxury Middle Eastern fragrances, which I had not featured on the channel, at least not in a luxury Middle Eastern fragrances video. And I just wanted to make sure that I shared them with you because they really are worth you at least trying them. These are incredible fragrances that will become very, very special if you were to add them to your collection. Let us know if you've tried not just any of these fragrances, but any of the fragrances from any of the houses that I did share with you today. And if you have, please let us know your thoughts. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for hanging with me today, and I will see you all in the next video.